Hello. Welcome, wherever you are, to wherever I am. Well, today it isn't anywhere too adventurous, but I want to ask you, what's acceptance and where do you find it? If you feel that your life is somewhat in a tangle, I know the feeling. I'm trying to work out the easiest way to stream services with the gear that I've got, and I found that if you were to join every cable that I've got lying around my home from end to end, you could stretch it around the globe, maybe even twice. But even with all those cables, finding the right one for the right job is just about impossible. Then I find that just because years ago a device spoke nicely to my PC and at the time seemed to do just what I wanted, that doesn't mean that it's fit for the job I need it to do today. It seems that being able to connect is very important, but no less important is finding acceptance or the sort of harmony that allows you to reach that elusive goal. Paul writes in the scriptures about connection and acceptance that we can have with God and with each other in these words, calling and unity. Let me read from Ephesians 4. I therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you are called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. We've been called to live a new life as part of our connection with Jesus. And as we have been accepted freely by him, are encouraged to be accepting of one another. We're to show humility and to be gentle and patient and loving. Those sort of people who seek unity and pursue peace. Now, while I've been struggling to find a simple solution to a seemingly complex problem, it appears that our world is facing conflicts on much grander stages. Have you noticed how our world is simply in a tangle? Simple statements are touching deep-seated hurts. Rally cries are drawing influential crowds that, while they seem to be under the same banner, are holding radically different agendas from each other. Slogans can be catchy in the way that they speak truth, but in advertising and in protest, often are designed to sell you something that's worthy of more research. From one side or the other, you can see that our world is certainly still in need of saving. Now, I know when it comes to personal relationships, argument seems to be the enemy of conversation. And I think our society at times argues better than it talks. We all seem to be connected in increasing ways, but somewhere we've lost our ability to accept one another, to listen, to understand, to care. My new music artist for the week is Eva Cassidy. Now, she died almost 24 years ago of skin cancer when she was just 33. But I've been preparing for a funeral tomorrow for a lady who was 82, who enjoyed the sort of songs that Eva sang. Some of those songs speak of reaching heaven's shores over Jordan. They speak of finding an eternal home. I think there's something beautiful about the picture of heaven being home. Home is that place of both connection and acceptance. At least it would be in an ideal world. And really that's the other hope that heaven holds, because we don't live in an ideal world. It's no longer entirely as God made it, but he is about to make all things new. And if our hope is in him, our place is by his side. Now, it's a shame that the Bible at times gets used as a weapon, sometimes without even being opened, which does nothing to encourage you to read it. Some people reject it because it teaches us to submit to governing authorities. Many more reject it because it calls us to submit our lives to Jesus as the ultimate authority. But if you open it and read it, you learn that this is the sort of man who calls us to follow him. He never sinned nor deceived anyone. He did not retaliate when he was insulted, nor threaten revenge when he suffered. He left his case in the hands of God, who always judges fairly. He personally carried our sins in his body on the cross, so that we can be dead to sin and live for what is right. By his wounds we are healed. That's 1 Peter chapter 2. Now, in our church, I know there are ways that we can move from simple connection to greater acceptedness. There are those who have been part of the family here for a long time who don't yet feel truly valued. There would be those who are quite new, who might feel that their opinions are not as easily heard, or their contributions as readily received. In our homes, in our streets, and in our society, we need also to find ways of talking and working together that show that everyone has a voice that can be heard, and everyone has a value that is appreciated. Now, it may seem strange to think that the solution to our broken world was provided when the request of a crowd of protesters was answered. I don't think they were right, but I think God had a greater plan. The account is recorded to us by Luke, a first century reporter. It says that Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus. But they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found him guilty, I found in him no guilt deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him." But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they had asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. I've spoken about my problem with tangled cables and a little bit of the struggles of our society. But what about you? Are you feeling disconnected from God and at odds with his purpose for your life? The very reason Jesus faced separation was so that you might find connection. He willingly faced rejection so that you might be accepted. Read what was said about him long before he was born in the Old Testament book of Isaiah, chapter 53, and you'll see for yourself how he loves even those who have rebelled against him. He did it for that crowd of protesters, and he did it for you. Now, I may not have unravelled very much for you. I know I'm some way off being able to stream our services as they return, but I hope that you find Jesus in your searching. And if you are a believer in him, find new ways to humbly serve him as you follow his example of suffering for the sake of the lost and the loved of God. May God add his blessings to your efforts and hold for you a very rich reward. God bless you in this week and in the days to come.